Let's go live now to the former ambassador to Israel, former MP Dave Sharma. Dave, in this planning and the multi-front attack, this invasion from Hamas is unprecedented.
Good morning, Kieran. Yes, it is unprecedented. I mean, we've seen Hamas invade by ground, by sea and even by air on multiple fronts, coordinated with a very widespread rocket barrage as well. And they've been able to make significant inroads into Israel, to occupy towns, settlements, kibbutzes, to take people hostage. We've never seen anything like this from Hamas before in its aggression against Israel. This is undoubtedly unprecedented.
It's a massive failure of Israeli intelligence, taken by surprise, like they were back 50 years ago with the Yom Kippur War, also on a major holiday.
Look, it is. It's almost 50 years to the day since the Yom Kippur War began, and like that one, this one has taken Israel by surprise. It's clear they were not expecting any aggression from Israel, just as from Hamas. Just as recently as last month, the Israeli security establishment was declaring the situation there relatively stable. They didn't have any warning of this. It's clear because they didn't have a lot of Iron Dome batteries in place. The reserves weren't mobilised. They did not have a strong presence on the border. And it took them quite a few hours to actually detect and then respond to this incursion. So there will need to be a lot of analysis and reflection there about what has gone wrong there, because obviously this has always been an active military front for Israel. They do watch Hamas and Gaza as closely as they can, given they don't have a physical presence, but they didn't seem to have any indication that this was coming at all, and this is why we've seen some of the destruction and loss of life and hostage taking that we have.
Will there be a ground invasion now? That's certainly the assumption from the analysts that I've heard over the last 12 hours or so coming out of the Middle East. It is complex, though, given how many Israeli hostages that Hamas has in custody right now. So an aerial bombardment simply on its own would carry its own risks in terms of those Israelis held by Hamas.
Look, I can reflect on the comments that Netanyahu made overnight, which was saying that Israel is at war, and this is not normally how they would describe an engagement with Hamas. Normally they call it a military operation or a round of conflict. This is a war, as he said. And everyone I've spoken to in Israel in the security establishment overnight believes fundamentally that the whole equation has to change here. I don't see them resting until Hamas's military leadership is destroyed, until people like Mohammed Dave, Hamas's military commander, are captured or killed, until all military infrastructure in Gaza is destroyed. And that's not going to happen without a pretty substantial ground incursion. Now, I was in Israel in 2014, which was the last major conflict with Hamas, when Israel did go in on the ground. They went in to a relatively small perimeter of Gaza to try and clear out tunnels and other military assets that Hamas had. I think they're going to have to do something much bigger this time, and I think the public is going to demand they do something bigger this time. Now, you're quite right. There are a number of hostages that have been taken from Israel, civilians and military, including young mothers, young children, young girls, grandmothers. Yeah. I've seen media reports of up to 35. I've seen Palestinian media outlets claiming that they've got that many people as hostages. Undoubtedly, that is going to really complicate this operation, and Hamas will use them as propaganda assets and to pressure Israel as much as possible. And how the political leadership in the country deals with that is going to be a really difficult security dilemma.
What do you make, just finally, of the international reaction? And also, I noticed in terms of Iran, I noticed the Iranian Supreme Leader posted a telling comment just 4 days ago that Israel was dead, essentially. That was the cryptic thing he posted online.
Look, it's a very complicated international situation. Ismail Haniyeh, who's Hamas's political leader, and Mohammed Dave, the military leader, have called on their Palestinian brethren to rise up. We've seen Hezbollah, which is the militant group, terrorist group in Lebanon, welcome this. We've seen Iran welcome this as well. We've seen Palestinian Islamic Jihad, which is in the West Bank, welcome this. I think the big question now is, do these groups decide to seemingly take advantage of an opportunity and commence aggression against Israel? And also, what role has Iran played in all of this? There is some analysis that suggests that part of the reason Hamas has chosen to do this now is to disrupt and derail what was an Israel-Saudi peace and normalisation track, which would transform the Middle East and would be to the detriment of groups like Hamas and certainly countries like Iran. And that may well be why they've decided to act in this scale and this aggression now to completely derail those Israel-Saudi peace talks.